There we go.
Ready? All right. Okay. Hello, everyone. We're back and we're back. It's been a while. It's summertime. We take these breaks, we do stuff, and so now we're back. Oh my goodness, so much has happened in the weeks that we've been gone. So we're going to catch you up and let you know what's going on. Um, I oh, I'm Consuelo Lara. Here we go.
And I'm Madeline Cronenberg, and welcome to this episode. This is August 16th, and this is our 231st episode of Between Two Teachers. 231, that's for today. And I'm going to begin it, as always, with our recognitions and land acknowledgement. So the first is the labor and body recognition, which we have adopted from the one that is used today by West Contra Costa Unified School District. And it is, I acknowledge that the burden of environmental exploitation and systemic injustice falls upon the labor of Black and brown bodies in the building of this country and its institutions. I remember that Black and brown people were born and died working this land against their will for generations. I also acknowledge the continued contribution of the labor of their survivors over the centuries to today, of all immigrant labor, including voluntary, involuntary, trafficked, forced, and undocumented peoples in the building of what we refer to as these United States. And the author of that is Dr. Rochelle Rogers Ard. The next one that we've done for some time here on Between Two Teachers is our land acknowledgement. We pause to acknowledge that we've gathered on the ancestral territory of Hui Chin, part of the unceded land of the Chochenyo and Karkan-speaking Muwekma Ohlone people. We remember their continued contribution to this territory and give thanks to them for allowing us to live, work, learn, and pray on their traditional homeland. We offer our respect to their elders and all Ohlone people of the past and present. And as always, we encourage you to support the effort of the Ohlone people to, in fact, get federal recognition as a tribe and get the benefits of that. And you can do that by just Googling Justice for Muwekma, and you'll get to the page that tells you the status of that effort. And also, as teachers and advocates for education, we want to be sure that you know where curriculum is that properly focuses on social justice issues. And the curriculum for the Ohlone tribes is at the East Bay Regional Park District website. And if you go to that website and put in Ohlone, you'll come up with the Ohlone curriculum for schools, which really will give you the background of our local tribal communities. And it also exists on the county website.
Yes, the County Board of Education continues to do the land acknowledgement, as on the website how you create one. You just scroll down on About CCCOE, and you'll find land acknowledgement. There's maps, and there's even a place there if you want to participate in their committee. So it gives you a lot of really good information there if you want to add that as well. So very good.
And that is, and the other place you can go for classroom resources is to the Learning for Justice site that's hosted by the Southern Poverty Law Center. And if you go there, you can get many curriculum examples, and with having to do with all kinds of social justice issues. So they have worked very hard. They're not the only ones. There's also the Zinn Project and others, but they're one of the leaders in that.
Yes.
Yeah. So we continue to not forget the importance of centering what we're doing. on where we've been. We can't move forward unless you know where you've been and look at how you're going to grow from where you've been. And that's what this is about. So now what is happening in education today? There's the one thing I wanted to talk about that is a California thing before we get to our other local issue and the national focus is the story of cell phones. And cell phones in the classroom have been in the news because our Governor Newsom, is starting to look at a way to restrict cell phones in the classroom. And they are, without question, a distraction. And I think that he's going to, I mean, he's going through a process to try to analyze what he could do as governor to support limiting their use. But you can't outlaw them. What you're really talking about is a classroom management strategy. And there's a really well-known author, Peter Green, who mentioned this the other day on an X post. And he talked about the actual fact that the folks you have to work with who are most interested in their children having cell phones are the parents, because they want to be able to reach their kids.
Yes, absolutely. I every parent I think knows how that, about the time they're old enough to be latchkey kids or whatever, they're gonna, you want to be able to get in touch with them and they can get in touch with you. So, oh, this is really a sticky one. So I think it's by district. It's going to have to be by district that they're going to have to come up with different strategies that can be used. Because it is a distraction in the classroom. And I was seeing people that can put them in little bags and have them displayed in a shoe rack that's see-through, so they could see their phone right there. But so there's a lot of different techniques, and I just think it's important to figure that out as well. You can't just say leave them home. That's not going to work.
No, you can't say that. So the issue is how you manage them being in the school building. That's really what the issue becomes, right? So yes. Right now you've got, if you've got 500 people in the building, you've got 500 phones in the building.
Yeah.
Right. And so what are you doing with those phones? How are they being managed? And also what kind of support? One of the things that Mr. Green points out is that in the past, since you didn't necessarily have every classroom using the same set of strategies, and some teachers having whole different approaches to classroom management, and not collecting them at all, not addressing it at all, and others being very strict and collecting everyone and going through a battle with students who don't want to hand them over. And the issue becomes is the presence of the phones, how much classroom time is that taking up, just managing the phones themselves?
Oh, yes, that's true too.
Right. That's the other part of it.
Yeah.
So all of that is being addressed, and it is an ongoing situation. I mean, there may be many different ways that they can continue to, and I know they will continue to discuss it. But I think one thing that Governor Newsom has done is elevate it to a statewide conversation. And I'm hopeful that I'm pretty confident that our superintendent, Mr. Thurmond, will, I'm sure, pick up on that, because he's been picking up on everything. He's a very proactive superintendent. We just all went to a workforce housing seminar that he put on, the superintendent, and he's very actively supporting workforce housing for teachers and education staff. So hopefully he'll do the same thing with cell phones.
Yeah, he really does get in there and helps be part of the solution. And he's so active. He's just great. All righty.
So tell us about, before we get to our national picture, tell us about the county.
Locally in the county, I'm on the County Board of Education, and I represent Area 1, which is our area. So, you know, we get to the agenda review and adoption, and I always vote, I will continue to vote no. I do not approve of it because I've been trying to get the unions to have a place on the agenda where they can address the board. And the electeds, I'm not even going to say it's the board. All the electeds that are up on that dais have said no. And for one, they usually, oh, policy. And the most insulting thing they've said is they could just come to public comment. That is so insulting because they are not the public. They are part of this agency family. They're employees. We're the public. We're going to come and go, hopefully. And they are going to be there. There's some of those teachers been there for decades and they love their jobs. Oh my gosh.
And the administrators, the thing is, the administrators don't have to do that, right? Their voice is automatically folded in.
Yes. Administrators, absolutely. They can have a voice and a place on the agenda, but they just refuse. And I know that it's, you know, it's threatening, I suppose. But this, you know, agency doesn't like to talk the truth, likes to hide things. And so that's why I think that this is, it's just, it's also hypocritical because we also had a presentation about a PLA that we've approved for any construction, and that is recognizing it's our labor partners, project labor agreement, and the teachers union should be able to address the board also. So it's, you support labor or you don't support labor, you know, you support unions, you need to show it. And it's hypocritical to not allow our unions a voice on the agenda. Can you imagine? I just, it's boggles the mind.
The thing is, it is a typical thing in other in districts, and I bet you there are counties that do the same thing.
Well, one board member swears that they did the research and there is none other, but that doesn't matter. Are we leaders or are we followers?
Right, that's right.
Leaders. Let's do some leadership here. So that doesn't matter to me if none have done it. That means
right.
They need to follow us because that's the right thing to do. I mean, and that's it. That's fair. What's fair and what's just. The other thing too was about labor continues. We voted for the compensation for the superintendent who makes over $250,000 a year, and her increase is, I don't know, 6%, more than that, I think. 6 plus, so
over 20,000.
Over $20,000. And when you, again, hypocritical because our union this past few months was in negotiations for months. And they came to our board 3 times, and you could look those up, and talked about their conditions and talked about their, that they need a living wage. And I mean, to me, it's just like the epitome of privilege and entitlement. No, I couldn't get all this money, but you guys, you know, you're not, that was even said. Did you want to don't think you get rich being a teacher, you know? And it's just not fair and it's not just. And so I voted no on that as well. I don't think that because of that, because the way you teach, the way you treat teachers, no, I don't think that deserves a raise at all. So those are things that we've got to recognize, acknowledge, and validate and value our unions, our union partners at every level.
Right.
So that's going to be something I'll be fighting for continuously. And we talked a bit about the charter school SPA. It's still struggling. We're going to keep our eye on that one. I don't know, you know, just the whole idea that these charter schools were supposed to be above us all, you know, superior to public education. So why are we keeping this one open? I don't know.
Right. They're supposed to be the place where we try out new innovations and then share the innovations that work with the district schools. That was the whole purpose of charter schools. And that has been lost. Let us just say that.
And seriously, I taught for 38 years. I've been to every single one of these charter schools. I haven't seen anything new. They got good practices, the best sometimes. They've got good schools, they got bad schools, just like ours. They've got some that are good, some that are bad, some that are just mediocre. They're not all superior the way they act like they are. So we'll keep an eye on that one. And then, of course, my ongoing struggle with the interdistrict transfers. Again, we had another meeting, and this board is very biased towards the districts who either don't want to accept, don't want to let go of a student, all of that. And the poor parent is, you know, they play gotcha with that, with the parent. If they forget one little piece of paper, well, they were supposed to do that. So no, we should deny their request for an interdistrict transfer. So there's very strong bias. I expressed that at the board. And I'm going to continue to address that issue. Maybe it's going to get better. I also suggested, thanks to my friend here, that, you know, the parents do not all come at a level playing field. Okay, some are have more resources. Some are single mothers. Sometimes it's a grandma. Sometimes it's, you know, some need more help than others to come, because it's difficult. And I've talked to these parents who come and they say, you know, I forgot, I was so nervous and I didn't know what to say. And I wish, you know, it's exasperating for them. And I think the county should offer, if needed, a parent some kind of legal advice, legal assistance in the process.
Right.
So a 15-minute call.
It's incredibly unfair that that is not built into the system.
Exactly.
I think it just should be, because there is an adversarial aspect to this, because you're asking for a legal decision to be made, and that decision impacts your family. So you need to know what your rights are, and you need to be able to have somebody present your case in the most effective way. And also to be able to respond to the inquisitors, the board members, who may be used to asking questions that are inappropriate.
Yeah, exactly. Go talk through the lawyer, what is relevant to this case.
Yeah.
And also what kind of gets smoothed over is if the district, who is under legal obligations when they get these things, these transfer requests, there is a timeline, there are process they have to meet. And if they don't, they are in violation. So sometimes that's, oh, well, you know, we'll just overlook that. But yeah, so there's so many parts to this that those parents really need some advocacy.
Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah. And I think that's would be the most the outcome that would have the most justice involved in it, right? The most just outcome would be that there's an automatically you would be given the opportunity to have a legal representative, and then you could have to opt out if you don't need one.
Exactly. Some people don't. That's true. So that was kind of the business aspect. And then there is good news. We have 2 new board members, student board members, and they are great. They are really great. I think the one of the board members, a student board member, is also on the West County.
Yes, I couldn't believe that.
Like, oh boy, he likes it. He likes work.
He's ready to run for office. That young man.
I know.
Yeah.
They were great. They asked good questions. I'm just so happy that they're there. So we do have good news sometimes.
Right. And we have other historic good news, and that is who is on our new ticket, the Democratic ticket for president and vice president. So from our standpoint as educators, right now in the White House, we have Dr. Jill Biden, right? And Dr. Jill Biden has kept her job. I'm incredibly impressed that she continued to teach
She
at
did.
the community college while she has been in living in the White House, been First Lady. And she'll have more time to do that now because she will be ending her time in the White House. But hopefully there is a person running with our presidential candidate, Mr. Walz, Minnesota Governor Tim Walz. And Minnesota Governor Walz is an absolute representative for education. And the conversation now is that he can help turn the Democratic Party into the education party. And this is a step toward doing that, right? He was a public school teacher. He was a football coach. He won. He brought the state championship to his school. So that's what they will always remember him for, because he's from a tiny school. But equally important is the work he did for education in Minnesota. He raised the amount of money in the state budget. He is increasing funding for everybody. He was focused on that because he is focused on families, the families in Minnesota. He provided a child tax credit, which is really what this country needs. Is a much more generous child tax credit, and he did that in Minnesota. It could be more, it should be more, but nonetheless, he got something through. He did funding for all kids for free meals, K through 12 statewide. He put in paid sick leave and paid family and medical leave for his workers. He has done his work in education, in supporting education in Minnesota, actually is historic and a model.
Yes.
And the fact that he is running for vice president against somebody who is a supporter of basically privatization, right? Mr. Vane.
Oh, yeah. Silicon Valley, venture, whatever. He's not an education candidate.
At all. No, absolutely not at all. And no interest in community schools. Mr. Governor Walz is interested in community schools. He supported growing that, which we know to be the single most effective thing, because it offers an answer in services for each of the issues that families may have as they are raising their children. And honestly, at one point they were looking at Governor Shapiro because he's politically from a state that they really needed. But Governor Shapiro does not have the history with education that Governor Walz has at all.
Yeah,
totally different.
The other thing I really liked was his response to the George Floyd fiasco, or what happened there, that murder. And so he responded and made sure those people were held accountable. That's big. He's done what he's done about abortion for that state. And all of those, the rights of women. I like what he says, just mind your own damn business.
Right.
Right.
And he says it very simply, right? He's not he's a teacher, and he has said nobody's gonna get under his skin or bother him because he oversaw a high school cafeteria.
Yes, you've been through that. Yeah. And
but you can do that. The rest of this is nothing.
Yes, and never underestimate a teacher. There you go. I like that one. And here was a little thing, but the hair discrimination, discriminate against how women do their hair. And so that's another, this guy's just, he understands, he's a human person that understands humans.
He understands humans, and he understands the importance of labor. He understands the importance of the teachers' unions, and he understands all of that. And that it's been a long time since somebody who really was committed to that was somewhere near the White House. Yeah. And now we've got somebody who's there. I mean, Miss Biden, Dr. Biden certainly was the lead member of the education team, I think, in the last 4 years, of course, with the Department of Education. But having Governor Walz become the next vice president. I think the education world is feeling heard for the first time in a long time.
Yes, absolutely. So hopefully this will become the new normal. This is how a normal, healthy human being leads. And these are the goals that are affecting all of us. So this is, I'm just really happy about it as well. So
Right. So our shout out is to presidential candidate Harris for picking him. Right.
that's right. That's right.
He's a great pick. You presidential candidate Harris, you are a spectacular pick, but you also made a spectacular pick in choosing him.
It's just
so,
wonderful. Yeah, great to watch.
So that's it for us. Thank you all for joining us again. We'll be back soon. Next week we can watch the party, watch their speeches, and then let's see how much they talk about education. Bye-bye. No, I didn't mean to do that. I meant to do